you doing, man?
Fine, thank you. It's
Nice to meet
extremely
you.
hot in here, and I'm suffering, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I see an Iron Maiden album in the background. That's already a good start.
Yeah, not just an Iron Maiden album, but completely signed by the band too.
Oh wow! Yeah, because recently with Adaptation did some support slots of Iron Maiden, and I must say I was a little bit jealous in a good way.
So they're supporting Iron Maiden, but you've had your fair share of good experiences over 20 years now. What would you say were the highlights? What are your pinch me moments over your career?
Yeah, one of them was definitely when we were for the second time, I think, Sao Paulo, and we had a bigger crowd than expected. The people were so much into it, jumping, singing along all the songs, and even the melody singing along. And they were, I was really with goosebumps the whole concert. That was definitely one of the highlights. But also a show where there were less people, but was very unique was when we were playing for the first time in Tunisia. And that was very special because we were the first international metal band to play a show in that country. Because up till then, they were banning all the metal bands. They were not allowed to enter. But with a lot of negotiations with the at that time, the president of the country, the guy was able to bring us in. And the people were literally crying during the concerts of happiness. So there was, when you see like 500 people crying of happiness, it's so. Also that one, I never had such a bad sound on my in-ear monitors, but I didn't give a shit about that because it was all that matters was all that happiness that was around.
So 20 years, did you think 20 years ago that you would still be doing this?
I was honestly not thinking about it. So I thought 20 years is so far away. I have no idea if I'm even alive by then. So yeah, I also now, if you ask me now, what in 20 years, I have completely no idea. So no, I was literally not thinking about it.
To celebrate your 20th anniversary, you're going to be re-releasing the first albums.
Yeah.
Was that always the plan, or is this a recent idea? Like, have you been saving these?
Yeah, it's a recent idea because we got the rights back after all those years. And so now we can release them ourselves because we were waiting very long for the Paradiso footage, for example, to be released. And always we got the promise, we're going to release it. And it never happened. But now after all those years, we got the rights back and we finally can do it all by ourselves. It's a coincidence that we got it back like after that we can release it now during our 20 years anniversary. But yeah, it makes it an extra celebration moment.
And you mentioned the Paradiso concert, which is coming out. That's almost taken on like a mythical thing in people's minds. I think some people started to wonder if it actually existed, right?
At a certain point, people started almost doubting if it ever happened. And I cannot blame them because even though I always kept my hopes up that it would be released one day, even I started really losing the hope at a certain point. Because also we were not sure if we would ever get the rights back or that we would have eternally to wait for it to be released by our old record company. But yeah, luckily now it got solved, and fans from the early days finally get the show to be released.
This is from 2006. That was really pretty early in your career. I think you probably had 2 albums by then.
Yeah, we had 2 albums. So all the songs from the shows are from the first 2 albums, and we did also some covers. So that this it's really the everybody who loves the old material, they can go right away go for that one.
When's the last time you listened to it?
When we were looking if the images were all right. So because we had to redo it completely because the old editor, he didn't want to have anything to do with the project anymore because he said, I waited for 20 years and never happened. So don't call me. So we redid it completely. And just the sound was still luckily there because the guys from the studio, Sasha and Miro from the Wolfsburg studio in Germany, they luckily have archives and they really keep well track of everything during the years. And they still had all the footage, so the sound footage. And luckily, because without them, we would have never been able to release it.
Does it feel weird listening back to yourself playing like 16 years ago?
No, it is. It's at some moments it's like, is that me? So that it's almost like looking to a different person because during the years you change a lot, and but it's not strange. Yeah, it's more like many things you forgot, and then you get your mind get refreshed of, oh yeah, that's how it was back in the days. Yes. And
then you also got the re-releases of the first 3 albums. Tell us a little bit about what else the fans can expect from that.
Yeah, so the for me the most special thing is definitely the DVD itself, but we also wanted to release the albums again, because now, like I said, we can release it ourselves, so we are not having to wait for others to decide. And also to not have included material that we don't want to have included in our albums. So, for example, our old record company, sometimes they had a tendency to always look for unique material that they never asked us if we agreed on releasing it. So they released it the way they wanted. Now we can release it the way we like it. Because all the extras that there were over the years, they have been released already over the years. The most extra stuff that's going to be soon be released is something new. That is, we worked on new music, and it's some kind of a cooperation project. So we didn't want to right away start with new material for a new studio album. So we did something completely out of the box, cooperation, and so it is new Epica material, but with influences from various musicians that we know from all over the world.
So there's a lot going on in Epica world in 2022.
Yeah, some people sometimes say, yeah, with the pandemic, everything slowed down. But for us, it doesn't feel like we have been slowing down. Of course, there were less concerts than we initially had planned, but still there was so much to do that I haven't been bored for a single moment.
So while you had all that time during the pandemic, was music like a comfort for you? Were you listening to a lot of music?
Yes. I remember that in the beginning of the pandemic, I had kind of a dark period. I was a bit sad about all the changes happening so quickly, and me not agreeing with everything. With some things, not with everything, but with some things. So I had some frustrations, and for like half a year, I didn't want to listen to so much to music at all. But then I thought, come on, I don't want to be a victim of the situation. I can create myself within the opportunities a lot of happiness. So why should I sit down and feel like this? So I turned it around. And from there on, I started listening again to music. It made me happy again. And then I realized, whatever happens in the world, you can always improvise and do things that actually do make you happy instead of blaming everything. That's the easy way out, but that makes you feel unhappy. And there's so much else that can make you happy. So I learned a big lesson there. Yeah.
What's an album that's always been with you throughout your life that you would put on to make you feel better?
That's the Best of Clannad. It's a kind of a folk band.
Yeah, I know, from Ireland.
So, that literally makes me happy. So I play their music every week. So wherever I am, I always play Clannad. Even when I'm doing ice baths, so I'm laying in the ice and I'm putting Clannad, and then I feel at ease.
That sounds like a good escape to me.
Yeah, you can see it like that, but for me, it's like sinking into deeper reality. The music helps me finding deeper layers of reality more easily.
Some fans of your band might be surprised that you like a band like Clannad.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that kind of thing comes into your music? Like, there's a lot of influences in your music from all over the place. Is that one of the influences?
Yeah, I think definitely, because everything you listen to one way or the other finds its way into your music as well. So maybe there can be even a heavy song that maybe started with inspiration that I got by listening to Planet. But usually it's not consciously that it happens. So even if I would know it and then you would play the song and then our song, nobody would probably even hear it. But yeah, there's also sometimes here and there some folk influences in some of our songs. And then that possibly can also come from Planet. Yeah, I always say I like to listen to many music styles, so I don't like just to listen to metal. Actually, listening to metal is a fairly small part of my month. All the rest, I listen to 80s rock, 70s rock, Planet, like I said, film music, sometimes also some new releases of bands that I admire. For example, now I listen to a lot to one of the latest albums of Dream Theater, and there's also one album that I was listening to. I have to look it up again. Porcupine Tree.
Yeah,
The closure continuation. I'm listening that basically non-stop the last 2 weeks. I love that album. Really love the atmosphere, and also maybe people don't expect me to listen to that kind of music, but I really love it.
that kind of progressive metal element definitely comes into what you do as well.
Yeah.
As well as all the symphony and death metal, and there's so many elements, and that's one of the things I think is people really resonate with your band because of that, because there isn't really anybody else that's mixing all those elements into one thing, and that creates something quite unique.
Yeah, definitely. And I always say there's good music and bad music, and even that is just it's subjective. So for some people that can be good or bad, and that's perfectly fine. But I like in many styles certain music, and there's certain bands that don't do it for me. But all these things, these influences together, I think that's what makes Epica the band it is today. It's already, if you strip down the songs, you will find so many different influences from so many genres but that's what Epica is. And also we have 5 songwriters in the band, but each their own influences. So all these different styles come together.
So when you're going to go on tour with Sabaton, and you're going to be here in Montreal. Well, actually, Laval is close to Montreal.
Yeah.
In October 22nd.
Yes.
I think is it your only Canadian date that you're doing on that tour?
Yeah, I'm a bit sad about it, but yeah, the guys from Sabaton, they had the choice of the tour because it's their tour and we are joining them. So we have nothing to say about it, but we are first of all extremely happy about this tour. But yeah, that is only one Canadian date. I was a bit sad about that, I must say.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's close to us that you chose for the one day.
Yeah.
This time, I'm sure you'll be back. So when you guys play live, you're quite technical with your music. How much do the songs change in a live environment than what they do in the studio?
Yeah, first when we start playing songs, we try to stay as close as possible to the studio recording. But then after a while, we find out some things it might work a bit better live, so we extend sometimes the intro, or we add a little part, like Cry for the Moon. We added some parts that we thought would work live better. So yeah, over the years, some songs develop a bit, but initially we stay as close as possible to the original recording, and then over time we let it happen. And then sometimes somebody has an idea, we try it sometimes with a rehearsal or with a sound check, and then if it works, we do it during the show. If it doesn't work, the idea gets dropped.
And can we expect any Clannad covers?
Actually, that's I often thought about this. There's one song I think would be really great to hear also with Simone's vocals, but I never even told the band. So now that it's an idea that I have already for a long time in my mind, but sooner or later I have to tell them to see if they like the idea.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see how you would rework it and, you know, to work for your band.
Me too.
Like,
it would make me really happy to do one day one of my favorite Planet songs, and to see how it works out. Yeah.
So there's that tour and the 20th anniversary, all the re-releases.
Yeah.
And then what comes after that? Are you gonna have a break, or is there more to come?
Yeah, then we even have a European tour still coming up with Apocalyptica, and we also have a South American tour coming up. So there's first of all still a lot of touring coming up. Hopefully everything happens, because you never know in this world nowadays. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen for some reason, we have also the backup plan, that is to work on our new album. So first we did focus on some Sidestep, the cooperation project, but now that that's finished, we can, as soon as we are ready, so as when there's no shows anymore to be played, then we're gonna focus on working on further on the new album. I started personally already writing some songs, but I don't know if some other guys also started already, because first of all, we always start each and every one of us on their own, and then at a certain point we bring all the ideas together.
Because you've got 5 songwriters, does that mean songs can come together even when you're on the road? Because a lot of bands can't really do that.
Yeah. So sometimes when somebody has an idea and said, can you listen to my idea? Because I'm kind of stuck. And then you listen, oh yeah, I would do this and then and that. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to try it out. And then you will hear the result. Yeah, that happens. Or we do like in a sound check, we can try an idea, but that doesn't happen that often. It's more like we first see as far as we can get it on our laptop, because nowadays you can bring your laptop and you have like a portable studio. You can program the drums like very realistic. You can have the guitars, the bass. The only thing that we cannot mimic is Simone's voice. So but all the demos, you can make already very realistic nowadays. So that's the technique is really outstanding.
Amazing. So last question: if somebody had never heard your band, like let's say you're on an airplane, you get chatting to the guy next to you, and he's like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And you say, "I'm in a band," and then he's going to want to know what kind of band, but then he's going to say, "Okay, play me something." What will you play him?
Depends on the guy what I'm talking to, because I like sometimes have this conversation. People have completely no idea about metal. Then the only band they know is Metallica. So then they say it's like Metallica. Then I always say, yeah, it's like Metallica, but then also like Mozart. And then you put them together. And then, they say, So when they say, then I would take a song that has really this heavy metal influences with a lot of symphonic parts. And like we have many of these songs, so I can pick many of them. But when it's like when I'm talking to an old woman and she wants to hear something, and you have a beautiful female vocalist. Yeah, let me listen something. Then I pick maybe a softer song. So it depends on the person I'm talking to in the play.
Okay, so if it was somebody that you thought might appreciate metal, even if they didn't know your band, is it one song that you would play them first?
I want to tell a funny anecdote first, because I was last week I was going to buy a car. And I wanted to test the sound system, because for me it's very important that the sound in the car is good. And but I had no music on my phone, just some new of that cooperation project, an Epica song, and it's a really heavy track. So I was a bit embarrassed to put it, but I did put it anyway, because in the shop there were also some other people, and the guy was even a bit like, "Oh, what is this? What is this?" And then then he realized it was my band, and I was suddenly, "Oh, that's your band. Oh yeah, it sounds good." I know from his face he didn't like it at all, actually. But I could test it well, and the sound system was good. But you have to be really careful with what you play to people the first time, because that song I would have never picked to play the first time, but it was the only song I had on my phone. And I wanted to test the sound system, but that scares some people apparently. But when there's like a song that is not the heaviest, but also not the softest, that's often like "Cry for the Moon" always does well, because it's the most famous song. But if it's a song from the new album, then Yeah, the Code of Life would be a good one, because that song is really typical Epica, but it's also not too heavy.
Interesting. Well, thanks very much for spending some time talking with me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck with everything that's coming up, and we'll see you in Montreal at the end of October.
Thank you very much. For me now, a short night is coming up, because tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. my alarm rings to go to the airport for the next festival. So it's gonna be a short night tonight.
There you go. Well, get an early night. It's not very heavy metal, but get an early night. And
I cannot sleep too early. I cannot sleep before 12. Unfortunately, it simply doesn't happen. And it's also really hot. Yeah. It's really hot these days. So and there's no air conditioning here. So I'm gonna suffer a bit, but it doesn't matter. There's a festival coming up, and that's all that matters.
There you go. The adrenaline will kick in, I'm sure. You won't be feeling tired at the stage.
No, I won't feel tired.
Right, well, enjoy and embrace every moment now that we're getting to live real life again.
Most definitely. Yes.